she said. You don't own me, I can do whatever I want. Her friends cheered. I just listened. But when she came back from her solo vacation, her keycard was deactivated, and the concierge told her why. You know, I always thought relationships were about partnership. About respect, trust, and a little bit of compromise. I never imagined I'd be the guy sitting in a half-empty apartment, sipping cold coffee, and replaying the last few months of my life like a bad movie. But here I am, and if you're watching this, maybe you've been there too, or maybe you're just here for the drama. Either way, buckle up, because this story has more twists than a pretzel factory. Let's rewind. My name's Alex, I'm 32, and until recently, I thought I was in a solid, grown-up relationship with a woman named Marissa. She's 29, smart, beautiful, and the kind of person who lights up a room, sometimes a little too much. We'd been together for 3 years, living together for almost 2. Our friends called us the power couple. We had the apartment with the city view, the matching bikes, the joint Spotify playlist. You know, all the Instagrammable stuff that makes people think you've got it all figured out. But here's the thing about social media, it's a highlight reel. It doesn't show the late-night arguments, the silent treatments, or the way someone's words can cut deeper than you'd ever admit. It doesn't show the cracks forming, the little betrayals, the moments when you realize you're not on the same team anymore. It started small. Marissa had always been independent, and I loved that about her. She had her own friends, her own hobbies, her own career. She didn't need me to complete her, and I respected that. But somewhere along the way, independent started to feel a lot like unavailable. She'd go out with her friends and not come home until 3 a.m., no text, no call. She'd make plans for weekends without even asking if I wanted to join. At first, I brushed it off. She's just busy, I told myself. She's got a lot going on. But then there were the parties. The endless stream of girls' nights, work events, and networking mixers that always seemed to end with her stumbling in, smelling like tequila and someone else's cologne. I tried to talk to her about it, gently at first. Hey, I miss you. Can we have a night in this weekend? She'd roll her eyes, laugh it off, and say, Alex, you're not my dad. I can do what I want. I let it go. I didn't want to be controlling. I didn't want to be that guy. But the more I tried to be understanding, the more she pushed the boundaries. She started leaving her phone face down, locking it with a new passcode. She'd get defensive if I asked who she was texting. It's just work stuff, relax, she'd snap. But the gut feeling wouldn't go away. Then came the night that changed everything. We were at a friend's birthday party, one of those rooftop bars with overpriced cocktails and a view of the skyline. Marissa was in rare form, laughing louder than anyone, holding court with her friends. I was talking to her best friend, Jess, when I heard Marissa's voice cut through the music. Alex, stop acting like we're married. You don't get a say in where I go or who I'm with. Her friends burst out laughing, clinking their glasses. I felt my face flush. I tried to laugh it off, but inside, something snapped. I realized I was the punchline in my own relationship. I didn't say anything. I just smiled, nodded, and let the moment pass. But I knew things had to change. The next morning, Marissa acted like nothing happened. She made coffee, scrolled through her phone, and asked if I wanted to go to brunch. I said I had work to do. She shrugged and left, not even noticing the tension in the air. That week, she announced she was going on a solo vacation. I need some time to recharge, she said, tossing her passport on the counter. I booked a week in Tulum. Just me, the beach, and my thoughts. I wanted to ask if she was really going alone, but I bit my tongue. I didn't want another fight. Instead, I nodded and said, Have fun. Let me know when you land. She barely looked up from her phone. Yeah, sure. The day she left, the apartment felt emptier than ever. I tried to distract myself, work, gym, Netflix, but my mind kept replaying her words. You don't own me. I can do whatever I want. Was I really being controlling, or was I just asking for basic respect? I started noticing things I'd ignored before. The way she'd hide her phone when I walked into the room. The late-night texts from coworkers. The receipts for expensive dinners she never mentioned. I felt like a detective in my own life, piecing together clues I didn't want to find. 3 days into her trip, I got a call from our building's concierge, Marcus. "Hey Alex, just a heads up, Marissa left her car in the loading zone again. Do you want me to move it?" I sighed. "Yeah, sorry about that. I'll take care of it." Marcus hesitated. "Everything okay, man? You seem off." I almost laughed. "Yeah, just relationship stuff." He nodded, understanding more than I said. "If you need anything, let me know." That night, I sat on the balcony, staring at the city lights. I thought about all the times I'd made excuses for Marissa, all the times I'd let things slide because I didn't want to rock the boat. I realized I'd been so afraid of losing her that I'd lost myself. The next morning, I made a decision. I wasn't going to be the doormat anymore. I wasn't going to let someone treat me like an afterthought in my own home. I called my friend Ben, who's a lawyer. "Hey man. Hypothetically, what do you do if your girlfriend's name isn't on the lease, but she's been living with you?" He laughed. "Hypothetically? You change the locks and let the building know. If she's not on the lease, she's technically a guest." I thanked him, hung up, and sat with that information for a while. It felt drastic, but so was everything Marissa had done. I wasn't looking for revenge. I just wanted my life back. I went to the building manager, explained the situation, and asked about changing the keycards. He nodded, said it happens more often than I'd think, and handed me a new set. "Just let the concierge know when you want to activate them." I waited. I wanted to give Marissa a chance to reach out, to show some sign that she cared. But the days passed, and all I got were Instagram stories of her on the beach, cocktail in hand, surrounded by people I didn't recognize. On the 6th day, I got a text. "Flight lands at 8. Can you pick me up?" I stared at the screen. No apology, no. "I miss you." Just an expectation that I'd be there, waiting. I didn't reply. That night, I went to the concierge desk. Marcus was there, reading a paperback. I handed him Marissa's old keycard. "She's not coming back," I said quietly. He looked at me, nodded, and slid the card into a drawer. "You sure?" I nodded. "Yeah. I'm sure." The next morning, I woke up to a string of texts from Marissa. "Hey, are you coming? Alex? Landed. Where are you? Can you at least answer your phone?" I watched the notifications pile up, each one a little more frantic than the last. For a moment, I almost caved. Old habits die hard, and for 3 years I'd been the guy who always showed up, always forgave, always tried to smooth things over. But this time, I let the silence speak for me. Around noon, my phone rang. It was Marcus. "Hey, Alex. She's here." I could picture the scene: Marissa, suitcase in hand, sunglasses perched on her head, breezing through the lobby like she owned the place. She probably expected me to be waiting, keys in hand, ready to carry her bags and pretend nothing had happened. But not this time. "She tried her keycard," Marcus said, lowering his voice. "It didn't work. She's not happy." I almost smiled. "What did you tell her?" He hesitated, then said, "I told her you'd left instructions. That she should call you." I thanked him and hung up, my heart pounding. I knew this was the moment everything would change. I braced myself for the storm. It didn't take long. My phone buzzed with a call from Marissa. I let it go to voicemail. Then another. Then a text. "What the hell, Alex? My keycard doesn't work. Marcus says you left instructions. Are you serious right now?" I took a deep breath and typed out a reply. "I think we need to talk. I'll be home in an hour." I spent the next 60 minutes walking around the city, trying to calm my nerves. I thought about all the times I'd let things slide, all the times I'd convinced myself that love meant putting up with disrespect. I realized I'd been more afraid of being alone than of being unhappy. But now, the fear was gone. All that was left was a strange sense of relief. When I finally walked into the lobby, Marissa was pacing in front of the concierge desk, her suitcase at her feet. She looked up, eyes blazing. "Are you kidding me, Alex? You locked me out of our apartment?" I kept my voice steady. "It's not our apartment. It's mine. Your name's not on the lease." She scoffed, loud enough for Marcus and anyone else in the lobby to hear. "Wow. So this is how you want to play it?" I shrugged. "I'm just doing what you said. You don't want anyone telling you what to do. You don't want to be accountable to anyone. So now you're not." She glared at me, her jaw clenched. "You're being ridiculous. I just went on vacation. I needed space." I nodded. "And now you have it." For a moment, she looked genuinely stunned. Like she'd never considered the possibility that I might actually stand up for myself. She opened her mouth to argue, but I cut her off. "I'm not doing this here, Marissa. If you want to talk, we can go upstairs. But I'm not letting you back in until we've had a real conversation." She hesitated, then grabbed her suitcase and followed me to the elevator. The ride up was silent, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. When we got inside, she dropped her bag and spun to face me. "So what, you're just kicking me out? After everything we've been through?" I shook my head. "I'm not kicking you out. I'm asking you to be honest. About where you've been, who you've been with, and what you actually want." She rolled her eyes. "I told you, I went to Tulum. I needed a break. Why is that so hard for you to understand?" I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw the same defensiveness I'd seen 100 times before. But this time, I didn't back down. "Marissa, I saw your Instagram stories. You weren't alone. You were with people I've never even met. You said you needed space, but you never once checked in, never once asked how I was doing. You just disappeared." She crossed her arms, defiant. "So what? I'm not your property. I don't owe you a play-by-play of my life." I nodded. "You're right. You don't. But I also don't owe you a place to live, or my trust, or my time. Relationships are a two-way street. If you want to do whatever you want, that's your choice. But you can't have it both ways." For a moment, she looked like she might cry. But then the anger came back, sharper than before. "You're just mad because you can't control me. You never could." I shook my head. "I'm not trying to control you, Marissa. I'm trying to have a relationship built on respect. And if that's not what you want, then maybe we're done." She stared at me, searching for a crack in my resolve. But I didn't flinch. Finally, she grabbed her suitcase and headed for the door. "Fine. If that's how you want it, I'll go. But don't come crawling back when you realize you made a mistake." I watched her leave, the door clicking shut behind her. For a long time, I just stood there, listening to the silence. It was the first time in months that the apartment actually felt peaceful. I sat down on the couch, my mind racing. Part of me wanted to call her back, to apologize, to try and fix things. But a bigger part of me knew that this was the right decision. I deserved better. I deserved someone who respected me, who wanted to build a life together, not someone who treated me like an afterthought. The next few days were a blur. I changed the locks, packed up the rest of her things, and left them with the concierge. I blocked her number, unfollowed her on social media, and started the slow process of moving on. It wasn't easy. There were moments when I missed her, when I wondered if I'd overreacted, if I should have tried harder to make it work. But then I'd remember the look on her face when I finally stood up for myself, the shock, the disbelief, the realization that I wasn't going to be her safety net anymore. Word got around fast. Our mutual friends started texting, some taking her side, others quietly admitting they'd seen this coming. Jess, her best friend, called me a week later. "I'm sorry, Alex. I know things got messy. But honestly, you did the right thing. She's been taking you for granted for a long time." I thanked her, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I could breathe. The days turned into weeks, and the apartment slowly started to feel like mine again. I rearranged the furniture, got rid of the throw pillows she'd insisted on, and even bought a new set of dishes, ones I actually liked. It was strange how something as simple as a different coffee mug could make the mornings feel new. I started cooking for myself again, rediscovering old recipes I'd forgotten. I called up friends I hadn't seen in months, went out for drinks, and remembered what it felt like to laugh without worrying about who was texting me or when she'd come home. But the real change was inside. For the first time in years, I wasn't walking on eggshells. I didn't have to second-guess every word, every look, every silence. I could just be myself, flaws and all. It was liberating, and a little bit scary. I realized how much of myself I'd given up, how many boundaries I'd let slide, all in the name of keeping the peace. But peace built on fear isn't really peace at all. One evening, about a month after Marissa left, I ran into Marcus in the lobby. He gave me a knowing smile. "How's it going, man?" I shrugged, but I was smiling too. "Better. A lot better, actually." He nodded. "You know, you're not the first guy to go through something like this. People change, or maybe they just show you who they really are. Either way, you did what you had to do." I thanked him, and as I walked away, I realized he was right. Sometimes, the hardest thing isn't letting go of someone else, it's letting go of the version of yourself that put up with less than you deserved. Of course, Marissa didn't disappear quietly. She tried to get in touch a few times, first with angry texts, then with long, emotional emails. She accused me of being cold, of giving up too easily, of not fighting for us. She even showed up at the building once, demanding to be let in. Marcus called me, and I told him to handle it. He did, professionally but firmly. She left, and that was the last time I saw her in person. I heard through the grapevine that she moved in with a friend for a while, then got her own place across town. She posted a lot on social media, photos of brunches, parties, new friends. The captions were all about freedom and living her best life. I didn't comment, didn't like, didn't engage. I was done being a character in her story. Instead, I focused on writing my own. I started going to the gym again, not because I wanted to impress anyone, but because it made me feel good. I picked up my guitar, started playing open mics at a local bar. I even took a weekend trip by myself. No drama, no games, just me and the open road. It was the most peaceful I'd felt in years. One night, I got a message from Jess. She'd heard about my solo trip and wanted to know how I was doing. We met up for coffee, and for the first time, we talked honestly about everything that had happened. She admitted that Marissa had always been a little reckless, always chasing the next thrill, never satisfied with what she had. "You were good to her, Alex. Maybe too good. She needed someone to set boundaries, and you finally did." I nodded, grateful for her honesty. "I just wish I'd done it sooner." She smiled. "Better late than never." As the months passed, I realized that the end of my relationship with Marissa wasn't a failure, it was a turning point. I learned that love isn't about possession or control, but it's not about self-sacrifice either. It's about respect, trust, and the willingness to grow together. If one person refuses to meet you halfway, it's okay to walk away. In fact, sometimes it's the bravest thing you can do. Looking back, I don't regret the years I spent with Marissa. We had good times, and I learned a lot about her, about relationships, and most importantly, about myself. I learned that it's okay to have boundaries, to expect honesty, to demand respect. I learned that being alone isn't the worst thing in the world. Settling for less than you deserve is. Now, when I see couples walking hand in hand, I don't feel bitter or jealous. I feel hopeful. I know what I want, and I know what I won't tolerate. I know that the right person will see me, respect me, and want to build something real. Until then, I'm content building a life I'm proud of, one day at a time. Sometimes, I still think about that night at the rooftop bar, the way Marissa laughed with her friends, the way I felt so small. But now, instead of feeling hurt, I feel grateful. That moment was the beginning of the end, but it was also the beginning of something new. It was the moment I realized I deserved better, and that I was strong enough to walk away. So if you're watching this and you're in a relationship that makes you feel small, that makes you question your worth, I hope you remember this: you don't owe anyone your happiness. You don't have to stay just because you're afraid of being alone. You deserve respect, honesty, and love that lifts you up, not love that drags you down. And if someone ever tells you, "You don't own me, I can do whatever I want," remember that you have choices too. You can choose yourself. You can choose peace. You can choose to walk away. As for me, I'm doing just fine. The apartment is quiet, but it's mine. The mornings are peaceful, the nights are restful, and the future feels wide open. I don't know what's next, but I know I'm ready for it. And if Marissa ever wonders why her keycard didn't work, or why the concierge didn't let her back in, I hope she remembers what she said that night, surrounded by her cheering friends. I hope she understands that freedom comes with consequences, and that respect is a two-way street. Because in the end, it wasn't about control. It was about respect. And when that's gone, there's nothing left to fight for. Thanks for listening to my story. If you're out there, struggling with your own version of Marissa, know that you're not alone. It gets better. You get stronger. And one day, you'll look back and realize that letting go was the best thing you ever did.